Now, full name?
Yeah, do you want to say your full name?
Jane K. Kubota.
Where were you born?
Waimea, Kauai, Hawaii.
And when were you born?
September 18, 1932.
What is your current occupation?
Housewife.
And what was your occupation before then?
Teacher.
And what is your educational background?
Bachelor's degree in education.
From University of Hawaii?
University of Hawaii. And then I did coursework at University of Illinois.
In education also?
Yeah, and I taught in Illinois. I taught at Sydney, Illinois, junior high school. And then I taught in Pomona, California.
What age did you teach in Pomona?
Mostly kindergarten and elementary grades.
What are the full names of your parents?
Kazuto Taketa and Kimiko Kaminaka Taketa.
And what did they do for a living?
My father was an accountant and insurance salesman. My mother was a housewife.
And what was their educational background?
My father went to school in Hiroshima, Japan, and then went to Hawaii and learned to do accounting, and he had to take the test to pass the exam for the accountant so he could do the taxes for people in Hawaii.
And why did he decide to come to the U.S.?
To better himself, to make a better living. But he did intend to go back to Japan after a few years, but decided that he liked it there, so he remained there.
How old was he when he came?
He first was, according to what I learned, he first went to Japan, he was 18 years old.
The first time he came to the U.S.?
Yeah, and then he went back again to Japan, and then returned again after several years.
And how did he get here?
By boat, to Hawaii.
And did he have his papers?
Yes. And let's see what else. He was born in 1898.
Yeah.
And he wasn't married then, and he went back to Japan and met his wife, my mother, Kimiko Kaminaka.
And they met in Japan, and then...
Yes. And they married she was born in 1901, and they married in 1922.
And so did she come to the U.S., did she come with him back to the U.S.?
Yes.
To Hawaii?
Yes. After they were married.
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I have, 5. There are 6 children in the entire family. My oldest sister, Anne Sonoy, was born in 1923, and May Mizue was born in 1924. And then Fumito Charlie was born in 1926, and Ikuto was born in 1928. And Carolyn Chie, who lives in Chicago, was born in 1930. And then I was born in September 18, 1932.
So six
in the family, yes.
What was it like for you guys growing up?
It was fun, but my sister, being 9.5 years older than I am, before I knew it, she left for college.
Yeah.
And so she wasn't home much at all. But my second sister, May, was home, and she worked at a bank.
Oh, yeah.
So she helped my mother a lot.
And were you close with your siblings?
Yes, we were very close. And we did a lot of things. We went picnicking, and we went for mountain apple. We went for guavas, where my mother learned, coming from Japan, she learned to make guava jam and jellies. and she made apple pies too.
Really?
Yes. And so then Fumito Charlie, born in 1926, then he went to St. Louis, Washington University, and then went to Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
What did he do in Milwaukee?
He taught at Marquette University,
What did he teach?
biochemistry.
So he got his PhD
Yes.
from Washington St. Louis?
That's right. No, yes.
Yes.
Before he went to Wisconsin. And then Ikuto was born 2 years later. In December, Ikuto was born, and he went to University of Hawaii. And she was born in December 1930. And she lives in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Married Masaru Funai from Honoka, Hawaii. And he's a lawyer in Chicago. And she taught school in Chicago. And what else would you like to know about Chi?
Well, so you said you like to go picnicking and stuff. What was your neighborhood like in Waimea?
Oh, it was fun. We went fishing there was a pier where you could go. And when some of the people who lived near the pier said, "Oh, the fish is biting, akula is biting," we would all get our poles and run to the pier to get a fish. And we also got our crab nets and went to put our crab nets in, and we got some crabs too. That was fun.
It was fun.
So fishing and crabbing.
And then was there a big Japanese community
Yes.
in Waimea?
In Waimea, we had Japanese and we had Filipinos. The next camp was a Filipino camp. And then there were Hawaiians too. And there were Hawaiians. There were lots of other nationalities. Portuguese also. So it was fun to go up there. We didn't just play with the Japanese people. We had other
Friends.
nationalities as friends. And I could walk to school and walk home for lunch. That was fun.
And since you were the youngest, so you said most of your siblings were grown? while you
Well,
were still in
no,
school?
Chie, Carolyn, was just 2 years older than I am.
Yeah.
So she and I did a lot together. And Ikuto was another 2 years older. But when I went to the university, lived with May, who was a few years older. But that was nice. I lived at a dormitory first, and then later moved in with me and Andy Yamashiro. And I was lucky enough to have good meals at home and take the bus to the university.
University. So they lived close to the university?
Not that close, but the bus was direct enough to go to the university. So. And I stayed at a dormitory in Honolulu for a couple years. She was there for 2 years, and then she went to Colorado. I stayed there in Hawaii and got my 4 years bachelor's degree.
And
there.
did she go to more school in Colorado?
Yes, she went to Colorado. She got her teaching degree at Greeley, Colorado. And she went with another classmate at the dormitory that we stayed at. And she met her husband there
Colorado?
too. No, in Honolulu, at the dorm that we all stayed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Masaru. And then she got married, and then they went to Chicago, so where Masaru went to law school.
Uh-huh.
And she was teaching.
Yeah. Do you remember the first time you went to the mainland?
The first time I went to the mainland was after I got married.
Really?
Yes.
What did you think of it?
Oh, it was fun, but he and I went to Yosemite, that area first. We have relatives in Dinuba, California, where we got lots of fruits that we could take on a trip all the way. We went to where Mitch stayed during the war. We bought some pots and pans there, at Fort Carson, Colorado, and then journeyed on to Illinois.
Was Illinois a lot different than Hawaii?
Oh, certainly. And then we had, because Hawaii, we didn't have snow, and it was very cold during the winter with icicles on the tree. So, but we met a lot of good friends there at Urbana, University of Illinois.
Yeah. And was it different since there weren't very many Japanese people, or?
Well, the people there were very friendly.
Yeah.
Many of the people that we met there are friends of ours today, too. So that was fun. And one family, they live in Arkansas, and the children were young, and they came to visit us in California, too, the Cordises. And then several other families. One went to Massachusetts, and later came to California. So we did things with them too.
Yeah.
So.
Do you remember how you met your husband?
In high school. He may have told you. He sat behind me in one of our classes.
Do you remember him?
Yes. Because he was smarter than I am, but we were in the same classes, when we have science and math together. So, and then we went to college. And
then you got married after college?
Well, 2 years after college. So I taught on the island of Lanai, which is called the Pineapple Island. There were pineapple grown all around the teachers' college. The women had one cottage and the men had another cottage, and the ladies cooked for the men. And it was so long ago that we had what's called kerosene stove. No electric stove, kerosene stove. And we could go right out of the door and pick a pineapple. So, but that was fun. We had women from the mainland, and we cooked for all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we took turns cooking. And the cafeteria manager was in our cottage too, so she helped us plan our meals. I was thinking about St. Patrick's Day, but we didn't have any corned beef at that time. So that was it.
So did your parents come to the U.S. before they had any kids?
Yes, because my dad first, he wasn't married. He first went to Hawaii when he was 18.
Yeah.
And then he went back.
And then so all of your siblings were born.
Yeah, and then he went back, and I think finally he came back again in 1922. And then he was married then. He married in 1922. And then my oldest sister, Anne Sonoy, was born in 1923.
Yeah.
And May was born 2 years later, 1924. And Charlie Fumito was born in 26. And Ikuto in 28, she in 1930.
Yeah.
And every 2 years.
Yeah. When they first came to the U.S., did they buy a house immediately?
No.
They rented for a while?
Yes.
And then eventually they bought the house?
Well, I don't know whether they bought that house, because it was basically 2 big bedrooms, one downstairs and one upstairs.
You all shared it?
Yeah. But we had lots of room. When you think today people have 3 bedroom, 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But we had 2 big bedrooms. And it was fun.
Yeah. You enjoy it?
Yeah, we certainly enjoyed it. But as I said, my mother learned to make apple pie, guava jelly, and jams, which they don't have things like that in Japan.
Yeah. So as far as the language goes, did your parents speak English at all, or?
My father learned Japanese and English in Japan.
Okay.
And then he improved it on his own after he went to Hawaii.
What about your mother?
My mother, she learned basically just Japanese in Japan, but by listening to others, she learned English.
Mm-hmm.
But
And at home, what language did you speak?
basically, to my mother, more Japanese. But after my dad passed away, she came to live with us.
Mm-hmm.
And then when my daughter came over to visit, and she had to listen to my mother, and I said, my daughter Lynn doesn't speak Japanese, but my mother said, if she listened to her, she'll learn some Japanese.
And did she?
Well, she knows a little,
Yeah.
just as Keith maybe knows a little.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah.
Do you wish that they knew more Japanese?
Who?
Lynn and Keith?
I think they do.
But do you wish that they could speak more Japanese?
No, no, I don't.
No. Yeah.
Because most of the time we just speak English.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
most of the people we know. Although one professor at Pomona College, he was very disappointed when we say we don't speak Japanese, because I understood and spoke more Japanese than my husband. But he said my parents failed. But it wasn't our parents, because we ourselves growing up, our friends didn't speak Japanese. It was all English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think the war had anything to do with that, or not really?
Well, maybe to some respect, but because they say, well, Japan attacked Hawaii, so now we should all be speaking English rather than Japanese. Because we were speaking English.
Already.
We grew up
Yeah.
with English.
Yeah.
So, except at home, to my parents and my mother especially,
Yeah.
we spoke Japanese.
Yeah. What about religion?
My parents were Buddhists,
Mhm.
and the relatives in Japan were Buddhists. And they came to visit us too. But there was no problem in terms of doing anything. Because also when they passed away, we did go to the Buddhist church for the service.
And were you and your siblings Buddhist also?
No, from the time we were young, we attended the Christian church. So,
And were your parents fine with that?
they said, fine,
Did they send you there? Or
No, we decided to go there with
Or friends?
some of our friends. That's why we started there. Some of our classmates, when we went to Honolulu, I stayed at a Nuano Congregational Church dormitory. And my other friends went to the Makiki Christian Church, which is a similar denomination. And that's where they all went. They were more like congregational churches.
Yeah.
So it was good.
Yeah.
We all had our meals there.
Yeah.
We made our sandwiches to take to the university for lunch. We didn't even buy, our lunch. But as my husband said, he worked so he would have his meals.
Yeah.
But we had our meals from the dormitory.
Yeah. Did you work during college?
I did part of the time. I worked with some of the homes needed some help. So I went to work there a few hours. And it was fine. Looked after the children and did the dishes.
Yeah.
But that's all.
And then, so after you got your teaching degree, you started teaching in Hawaii?
before I got married,
Yeah.
I was teaching in Hawaii. I first taught at after I got my degree. I was teaching at Jefferson Elementary School in Honolulu, where I had mostly Caucasian children, a few Japanese, and I also taught. Then I went to Island of Lanai, where I taught from 7th grade to high school, and then one of my prize pupil students became a urologist. His parents were from the Philippines, but he did very well. So now he's a urologist in Iowa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So do you keep in touch with some of your pupils?
For a while I did. And this student was so special. He's a special person that after we went on a sabbatical away from Claremont, when I came back, he wrote to my parents. He saw the picture of our wedding in the newspaper. So when I found out when we were coming back, he sent some flowers from the florist to Claremont. Arrived after we returned.
Oh, that's so nice.
He's in Iowa. I have to write to him again, but
Yeah.
I wrote a thank you to him. But it's amazing, immigrant parents from Philippines, and he did so well.
Yeah.
Not from my teaching, on his own.
And then you taught more in
Illinois, yes. I taught at East Unity Junior High School. I was able to carpool with a few other teachers from the University of Illinois. We took turns driving. It was about 10 miles away. So I taught junior high school math.
Yeah. How was that?
It was very good. The students were well behaved.
Yeah.
Junior high at that time.
Was it? Did you know how to drive in Hawaii?
Yes. I had my driver's license in Hawaii, and I went to Illinois. I didn't have to even take a driving test.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And then
I took turns with two other ladies.
yeah,
So
you could drive in the snow.
yeah, the only thing in the morning, because our car was in the parking lot, open, so Miss had to go out to
Heat it up.
heat it up and scrape
Keep it. Oh yeah.
the snow
Yeah.
on the car.
And then what was it like moving to Claremont?
Oh, it took a long trip to Claremont, but then it was very nice. The people in Claremont were wonderful in welcoming us to Claremont. The Campbells, especially the department head,
Yeah.
and she welcomed us, and she already bought some Japanese food. She prepared her miso soup.
Was it good?
It was very good. They had a sabbatical in Japan. They really liked Japan. And then the lady went again.
Yeah.
And even the Grievers, he was a math professor. They also went to Japan, and she learned to cook and, prepared some Japanese food for us and other people.
Were you nervous to go to Claremont?
No,
No. Did you think it was unusual that Grandpa only had 2.5 years of grad school?
well, he was basically done. He had to
Done.
just finish his writing
Yeah.
and then go back to
Yeah.
the professor.
Did it take a shorter time back then?
What?
Did it take a shorter time to get a PhD?
No, it all depends on your project,
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So he was really fortunate,
Yeah.
and there at University of Illinois and here, that he was given this job in Claremont
Yeah.
at
And-
Harvey Mudd College, which was just beginning. It was just, I think, the third year when he was hired.
Yeah.
So it was the very beginning of Harvey Mudd College. But it's been a good place to live
Yeah.
in Claremont. And the college has very good reputation, Harvey Mudd College, being one of the best along with Pomona College.
What was it? Was it strange moving since were there very many Asian Americans? in
What?
Claremont when you first arrived?
Well, there were a few. Like one of the couples that came to this center, they were there in Claremont many years ago before us.
Uh-huh.
They now passed away, but I noticed the Okazakis were members. The Odas who still come here, they live in our neighborhood now. And
So did you try to find a Japanese American community, or did you?
no, we don't think about that, because in Claremont they were very good in welcoming us.
Yeah. So it was fine. What about having kids in Claremont? What was that like?
I don't think Keith and Lynn had any trouble,
Yeah.
Because they didn't have many classmates who were Asian. Keith being a few years younger than Lynn, there are few more. But when you may have heard, when he went to Hawaii to visit with his cousin, and they asked him, doesn't he feel out of place being in Hawaii where there are so many Asians, and Claremont, not as many?
Yeah.
In his class, I think there were only about 3 or 4 Asians.
Do you think that they felt out of place?
No, I don't think so. Like Chris Chun has very well. He's a doctor in San Jose area. So Claremont is a very nice community that everyone treats everyone the same and welcomes people.
Okay. Oh, sorry. So what do you see as being your identity?
My identity? I'm Japanese American, right? When people ask you, well, I cannot say them anything else but an American and a Japanese American.
Yeah.
Because if not, they say, are you Chinese or Korean? Some people don't know because you look
Yeah.
Chinese. Some people think I look Chinese or Korean. No one has said Vietnamese. I can't be Vietnamese. So, anyway.
So do you think that the way you look affects how people see you?
No,
No.
I don't think so. I think my parents brought me up well.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
Yeah. They say we can be anything that we want to be. We have to decide what we want to do with our life. So even to get married, you pick the right person, everything will be fine. So even my father was in Santa Fe for 3.5 years. He said he doesn't look back as it being the bad years of his life. He thinks everything, he has to accept that it was time when Japan attacked Hawaii, and then that's the reason why he had to leave us for 3.5 years.
And what was that like when he left?
Well, life went on with us. We had to do whatever we had to do on our own,
Yeah. And
My mother later said she felt sort of lost that, she didn't have him around. But I think we were lucky that I had older sister and brother, to look after me as a younger person.
Yeah. Because you were 9?
Yes.
And what about financially? Did your siblings have to work, or?
Well, May, being the second one, she worked at a bank.
But did you have to help pay rent and for food, and was there a financial hardship with him being away for so long?
No, we somehow managed with May working, and then people sharing their vegetables and all that. So we didn't have any problem in that way. So
Was it a surprise when he got taken away?
no, because war happened, and so many people, like my classmates, a number of them, you know, the Hataishi Valentine and his father was with my dad in camp, and Teddy Ozawa. Teddy Valentine's father they had a watch and jewelry shop. Takanishi store and Kuramoto store managers, they went. But they had sons in the U.S. Army, just as Charlie was in the U.S. Army. And my husband's cousins, their father was in camp, and they all went to Minnesota, became interpreters for the United States, you know.
Yeah.
And they helped the war effort. Or at the end of the war, they helped too, being in Japan as interpreters. Mm-hmm. So life went on. My mother felt later. She said, "Oh, she felt she suffered, but maybe she did inside of her, but she didn't show it to us.
Yeah.
Because people were very nice.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you think?
And I was fortunate being the youngest. You know, like May, my sister May, my brother-in-law Andy did a lot for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I know she cooked. I didn't help her very much in cooking. She said, "You go and study." And she was working full time.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was a good sister.
Yeah.
My sister Sonoe, I don't think she helped anyone. She was in the Midwest, in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And Marlene was with her. So.
Yeah. Well, that was later, right?
Yeah. Well, because Marlene was, her daughter. She's same age with Lynn.
Yeah. But during the war, where was Sonoy? Was she at Columbia?
Yes, she was first another state before she went to Columbia. Where was she before she went to Columbia? I think she went somewhere else. I know she went to somewhere else. I don't know.
But she was gone when your father was in Santa Fe.
Yes.
She was already gone.
Yeah, because at first she was there, and then she said, "Oh, if May is working, then she can continue her schooling."
Yeah.
So she left. So
you were 9 and Chie was 11?
yes. But so my dad was there in Santa Fe, 42 to 45.
What was it like when he came home?
Oh, it was, in some ways, we were all very happy, but it took a while for him to adjust to that.
Yeah.
You know. It was a long trip from Santa Fe, the train station, which I went to see what the train station like, on a train back to the West Coast, and then on a ship to Hawaii. But he was so happy to be back in Hawaii. So, but as I mentioned before, he was fortunate because he did some office work, accountant, because he was an accountant. He could work at Santa Fe.
Oh, okay.
In the office.
Yeah.
He made a few dollars.
Yeah.
He sent the few dollars home to his wife. We later learned that even when it was only like $25. But it was nice that he returned home, and my parents celebrated his 88th birthday.
Yeah.
He had a big celebration because in the Japanese tradition, the 88th birthday is a special year.
Yeah.
And his brother was living at that time, so he joined his brother. He had an 88th birthday. But then he died in 1989, the following year.
Yeah, so you just made it to his 88th birthday.
But my mother lived to 95.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The same with my husband's mother was 95 when she
Really?
passed away. So I think they both had a good life. My father said he was happy that he left Japan
Yeah, why?
because of the war.
Oh, yeah.
He said he would have been in the Japanese Navy or then would
Yeah.
not have been alive probably. That's what he felt.
So better to be in Santa Fe.
Huh?
So better to be in Santa Fe than to be...
No, just
No.
he doesn't think about as much as Santa Fe, but in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So life in Hawaii was good.
Yeah.
So he enjoyed being in Hawaii, and because they became American citizens when the law, allowed it, then they all became citizens. Hmm
When did they become citizens?
I forgot the year.
But was it after the war?
Yeah, after the war, they allowed the people,
Yeah.
Japanese and others who wanted to become citizens. So he and my mother both became citizens. So then they could vote for the president of the United States. I don't know this year, but it was nice when he celebrated his 80th birthday. Oh, he was so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in Japanese style, they have a red cap and a red lei and all that. He was so happy.
Yeah. And all your siblings went?
Yes, all his siblings and they're all living at that time. Now, 2 of them are gone. No, let's say 3. 3 of them are gone,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
But they did have a good life. My father said, oh, he's so happy. He was very, very, extremely happy to be in Hawaii
Yeah.
with what he did. And he did very well in business,
Yeah.
and as a accountant and an insurance salesman. He sold a lot of life insurance. To this day, because he bought life insurance today for me, that I have that.
Yeah.
Yes. So he was a smart man.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of him that he brought me up well and provided for me. He paid, I live with me and Andy, but he paid.
Your tuition.
And he paid them.
Oh.
And they said, no, they didn't need it. But even now, I feel obligated to my brother-in-law. And so every now and then, when we're there,
You check on Andy.
and we pay him, leave some money, and we all buy when Chin and Masara there, we buy the groceries and all that.
Yeah.
So,
Did May help Chie too?
no,
No?
because she
went to
left
Colorado.
after 2 years, we stayed at the same dorm.
And then she went to
Colorado.
Yeah.
And their good friend who stayed at the same dorm that we stayed at went to Colorado too. She lives in Hawaii.
How did you decide to become a teacher?
Well, many of us, when we go to the University of Hawaii at that time, thought that teaching is the best. You're sort of guaranteed to get a job,
Yeah.
So that's the reason why.
Yeah.
And people say, are you going to secondary education, not elementary? Because many of our friends went to elementary, taught kindergarten or 1st to 3rd grade, which was
But you did secondary?
Yes.
But then you ended up teaching kindergarten in Pomona.
Later,
Yeah.
when I came to California, I had to get my credential here, and I went to Cal State LA
Uh-huh.
to get my California credential. So that was nice.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break.